Washington State and South Dakota are making a move at the state level to get money out of politics. It's a bipartisan coalition that's fighting for this, including the group Represent.us, who we've spoken about before, and even some Tea Party factions are on board with this. So there are Republican groups, there are Democratic groups. Huffington Post explains here, the idea is to create a system of democracy vouchers, providing each registered voter with a certain number of $50 credits to use as campaign contributions to candidates who choose to participate in the publicly funded system. The democracy voucher method, which was adopted by Popular Ballot in Seattle in 2015, seems to appeal to conservatives as it puts the power to fund candidates in the hands of the individual voters and not through lump sum government payments to political campaigns. Okay, so what they're trying to do is do one version of clean elections. Clean elections typically means no privately funded elections, and what they're doing in this case is kind of a middle ground, where you say we're going to have taxpayer money, so government money, public funds. That's going to go to the people, and the people are going to choose who to allocate the money to in terms of the candidates they like better. So it's kind of a middle ground, because it's private in the sense that the people are choosing, but it's public in the sense that it's the public funds. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, as they laid out here, is the classic way of public funding, which is you have the different candidates, there's a process to determine who gets in, and then after you determine who gets in, you get matching funds. So everybody gets the same, and then it's a battle of ideas and not a battle of competing donors. So it's a battle of philosophies, not a battle of who's going to sell out to their corporations better. So obviously, if you take money from corporations and rich people, they're going to want something in return. That's just how it works. So you take money from them, and then the more you raise from them, the more you get your message out. But then it's also the case that the more corrupt candidate wins, and then they do more favors for their donors at the expense of the constituents. We're trying to change that. People are trying to change that. Now, I want to be crystal clear about this. I support any and all moves to get money out of politics. It's that important where even if I have minor issues or major issues with the way you're going about it, I'm still going to be in favor of it because this is too important to leave as it is right now. It's almost like the health care system in the United States pre-Obamacare. Like, I didn't like Obamacare. Obamacare was a shitty reform, but I ended up at the very end supporting it because that was our only option, was Obamacare or nothing. And nothing was significantly worse. So it's like, okay, hold your nose and pick Obamacare because it's a step in the right direction. Anything is a step in the right direction. Same thing for this. So even if I have issues with the particular kind of public funded system that you're trying to set up, I'm going to support it because it's obviously superior to our orgy of big money and corporate money that we have right now. And by the way, Democrats and Republicans agree on this. So we all agree money is corrupting politicians and we got to stop it. And I would just add as a final note here, while I support all these different things, nothing will replace the big whopper at the end here, which is we have to do a constitutional amendment to get money out of politics. Because what the Supreme Court has ruled in a number of cases, actually, a variety of cases, Citizens United, McCutcheon, Buckley v. Vallejo, so on and so forth, they've ruled that money effectively equals free speech. So if this is a constitutional right we're talking about, then there always is going to be money in the system unless and until we either change the interpretation that the Supreme Court has of the Constitution, which would require another case and then them to change their mind and go back on precedent, or we would have to go through the states, get a constitutional convention, get the one constitutional amendment we all agree on, which is money in politics, and then fix it that way. So actually do an amendment to the Constitution to make it so that it's clear money isn't speech and corporate personhood isn't a thing, and we mandate clean elections by law, by supreme law of the land, by the Constitution. So that's the real solution, because unless and until you do that, you're still going to have the federal court system saying that money in politics is a right. So technically, any laws you pass at the state level or the local level, it's null and void right up front because the Supreme Court already decided you can't really regulate that because it's like regulating speech, which is unconstitutional. So even though I support every conceivable way of fighting this problem, the main way to fight it, and the only way that would really work in the long run, is to change the Constitution and to make it crystal clear that money does not equal speech and that we're going to have clean elections and therefore battles of competing philosophies. And guess what? When you get that, the politicians are much more likely to represent the people because you're the ones paying them. It's no longer Goldman Sachs. It's no longer Citibank. It's no longer billionaires, it would be us funding them, so they're much more likely to listen to us